Transformer Exploitation Cafes. This is an interactive session where we are presenting the key outputs of the Transformer project because we want to share all the knowledge and all the insights that we have learned throughout the last 2 years of the project and help you devise actionable strategies for the net zero transition. This is the tool to offer learning, capacity building, and knowledge sharing of the Transformer project to the larger stakeholders, especially for regions, and to help support sustainable regional transformation. As you know, we already have several sessions. We have a session on quantitative regional assessment framework. We have today on the Matchmaking Toolkit, and there are further sessions on the user forum, the knowledge hub, and the transition readiness tool. As I said, today we are going to focus on the Matchmaking Toolkit, and I would like to present our speaker and expert, Paola Astegiano, who is a senior project manager at Fit Consulting.
Good afternoon, everyone. As Veronica said, I'm Paola Astegiano, and I work as a senior project manager in FIT Consulting.
So, Paola, can you briefly tell us what is the role of Fit Consulting in the Transformer project, and what have you been doing for the last 2 years in the project?
Yeah, sure. About the role of Fit Consulting Transformer, I would say that the main activity of Fit Consulting was the development of the project toolkit. Indeed, Fit was responsible actually of the development of this toolkit, and in particular, Fit took care of the customization of the matchmaking platform of the project that we will see in few minutes. Then it was also responsible of the organization of the transition camps, which are local events. Also on this point, I will give you more details shortly. And then Fit also investigated the possibility to add some additional tools within the toolkit, even if these additional tools were not really tested within the project, but we anyhow provided some suggestion for useful tool. Finally, we were also responsible to write the guidelines for the evaluation of this toolkit.
And since we are already started talking about the Matchmaking Toolkit, can you please tell us a bit more about what is the Matchmaking Toolkit and what does it comprise of?
Yeah, so I would before say that we can call it toolkit, where the matchmaking is part of this toolkit. So in general, what is the objective of this toolkit? The main objective, I would say that it is to support the development and the implementation of the transition superlabs. The idea behind this toolkit is to enable significant upscaling of the TSL by setting up an operating set of tools to attract different interests of public authorities, enterprises, financiers, and so on, but also researchers and civil society. The toolkit itself is composed by 2 main tools, which are the Matchmaking Platform and the Transition Camp. Both of them have been tested and used within the project, but you can see there were some co-creation tools that were not really used or only partially within the project, but we decided to include them in the toolkit because we think that they can represent an added value and they can be quite complementary to the matchmaking platform and to the transition camp. Maybe it is worth to give to you few more details about these 2 main tools. So let's start from the transition camp, because the transition camp is an open day event that bring together the stakeholder coming from the different TSL. I would say that the important thing when organize this transition camp is the important thing when organize this transition camp is to create a sort of collaborative environment. It is also important that being them some local events, they should run in local language. And this is what happened during the project, because in this way, the audience is more, let's say, comfortable in exchange ideas, opinion. So this is one important thing. The transition camp within the project was useful and can be useful, of course, um, in different parts of the roadmap, because there are some phases at the beginning of the roadmap where the transition camp can be useful for defining, for instance, the objective of the TSL, the scope, the outcomes. But if we use this event, if we held this event at a later stage, then of course can be useful for deepening the knowledge that was established at the beginning, but can be also useful for refining the objectives, but also to try to develop concrete strategies and action plans together with all the stakeholders of the TSL. Then coming to the matchmaking platform. The matchmaking platform represents a sort of event networking platform, because it empowers the connection with different type of stakeholders coming from different geographical context. This platform allows to create online event, but also hybrid event, and also is useful to promote in-person event. I would say that this platform is a sort of facilitator, because basically bring together individuals who might not have otherwise crossed paths during the event itself. So how it works, this platform? Basically, you can see here how it looks like the platform if you don't register to it. So if you don't register to it, you are going to find some basic information which are related to which are the incoming events, some news about the project, and that's it. It's quite static. However, if you decide to register to this platform, what's the first thing that you need to do is like to register your profile. So the platform will ask you for some basic information with your interest, and then based on your interest, he will suggest to you possible matches with other individuals already enrolled in the platform. This basically allow you to enter in contact with people before, during, and after the event. And of course, you can, together with your profile, you are also able to create a profile for your company. So then you have maybe more people from the same company within the platform, and so people interested can like select to which company they are interested, that they can see which people belong to this company within the platform. Then you can, when I mean you can enter in contact with these people, I mean that you can easily ask for a meeting that can be easily held online within the platform itself. So each person can put like its availability on the platform, and the other individual that is looking to have an appointment with these people can just select the free slot and plan a meeting. So it is actually a powerful tool. I hope I was they were enough.
Yeah, that was perfect. That was perfect. Let's go to the next one. Um, so, we've heard all about the great functionalities of the matchmaking toolkit and the platform. And can you maybe tell us a bit more? Who is it actually best for, and who is the primary target audience for the toolkit? And what are the needs, and how can we address that through the toolkit and the platform?
Okay, yes, sure. Okay, let's start talking about the target audience. Also, in this case, I will differentiate a bit some of the tools that I mentioned before, because I would say that the audience is quite complementary and partially overlapped among the tools that I mentioned before. For instance, the matchmaking platform is for sure more interesting for enterprisers, financiers, investors. In some cases, I would say also for researcher, while I would say that is less interested or less powerful for the civil society. Why I'm saying this? Because it can represent a mean to attract different interests and generate investments. So it is not really a tool that can be really useful for the civil society, which are less inclined to search for meeting among themselves, I would say. The transition camp is, I would say that the audience for the transition camp is probably wider. But of course, strongly depend from the objectives of the event. So based on the timing in which it is organized, the transition camp can attract different type of stakeholder, which in some case can also be the civil society. I would say that actually it is important at certain point to have them involved in the transition camp. Finally, the additional tools that, as I said before, are co-creation tool. I would say that many of them could be useful during the running of the transition camp. So during the event itself, I think some of them can be really powerful, and depending from the long list of this type of additional tool can be more interested for public authorities or civil societies or companies and so on.
Thank you. We heard a lot about so what specific needs does the toolkit fulfill, but can you maybe go a bit more deeper into how does it differentiate from other frameworks and other tools that are already existent, and where is it that it actually brings an added value to the regions and to the other target audiences?
Sure. So let's say that the main aim of the toolkit, or at least one of the things that has the objective to do, is the one to try to bridge gaps among the stakeholder and align the interest of this stakeholder. In which way? Always creating a collaborative environment. So through the transition camp, but also through the matchmaking platform itself, with the possibility to create this connection and ongoing discussion, because basically during this one-to-one meeting, you can easily stimulate new conversation and so on. So I would say that the, the, the most important thing is that both tools um, work in a very collaborative environment. Um, Another things that maybe for which I would say the matchmaking platform is useful is not only for the TSL, but if we talk also about follower region, I think really this tool can help them in initiate meaningful conversation and collaboration with their stakeholder. And of course, this type of approach is going to open up opportunities for knowledge sharing, resource pooling, but also for create joint initiatives. The matchmaking platform acts as a catalyst for a constructive dialogue, um, to encourage stakeholder in exchange their ideas, and try as much as possible to be proactive. Um, I think it's really a good way to ensure that all the relevant perspective and expertise are represented. The transition camp is actually, as I mentioned before, can really be useful for different things, based on what is the transition path of the TSL. So if you held this event at the beginning of the transition, the TSL, or during the first phase, of course, the main objectives is to put together different stakeholders, maybe for the first time. So you really need to define with them a common vision. So it really helps in defining common vision for the TSL, taking consideration the perspective of all the stakeholders. But if you arrive to a later stage and you help the transition camp at a later stage of your creation of your TSL, then it can help for something else, because it can help in defining a real action plan, or monitoring the results, or in assessing the results. So I would say that both these tools can really support different needs of the TSL.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And because we are always interested in Transformer, in looking at the experiences of the pilot regions, and that is one of the purposes of the project, where we looked at the experience and identified some challenges and successes. Can you maybe talk a bit more about the experience with the matchmaking toolkit?
Yes, sure. Let's before clarify that the matchmaking platform itself was launched when there were decided at least the dates of the first transition camp. So this matchmaking platform was used also to promote the transition camp itself. Within the project, we held 4 transition camp, one in each region. Actually, in the Western Macedonia, we split the event into parts because of the needs of the Western Macedonia itself, to attract why these things happened, because there was a need to attract different type of stakeholder and to have on the table different type of stakeholder in 2 different moments. The organization of this transition camp has seen different interaction with the TSL leader, because of course it was very much needed to understand their needs, what they wanted to obtain from this event, which audience they wanted to involve, and so on. So we organized this first transition camp, and before than each of them, we promote and launch the matchmaking platform, so that people interested could enroll to the matchmaking platform and try to enter in contact with the other stakeholder a bit in advance compared to the event itself. I can say honestly that at least the transition camp held in the Western Macedonia and the Emilia-Romagna region were very successful. In the case of the Emilia-Romagna region, for instance, they were able to attract high-level politicians. They did creating this event together with another European project. So for sure, this approach helped a lot. But also in Western Macedonia, they were instead very good in creating a strong environment with the stakeholder involved in the TSLs. So they managed to organize 2 events and to have a strong commitment of the stakeholder in both the events. For the other 2, it was for the rural area and the Lower Silesia. The organization was quite more complicated. I would say it was more complicated to attract the participants. This was the case because in their case, the interest was in involving the civil society. So it's not always so easy to involve the civil society and on some topic which are often also discussed. So that was, I would say, the main reason for which it was a bit more difficult to organize the event and to attract the participant.
Okay, thank you. And were there any lessons learned that you would like to share with us about the matchmaking toolkit, about its use, and how it was then implemented?
Among the lessons learned, the most important thing is that the transition camp and the matchmaking platform work well together if they are well planned in advance. Because planning them in advance favor for sure a smooth communication of the event, and it allows to attract more participants. And another additional lesson learned is that during the events itself, we recognize a strong interest in the matchmaking platform itself, even if many of the participants were not aware of this platform. So this comes back to my previous lesson learned. If we plan quite in advance the event in combination with the matchmaking platform, more people can become aware of this platform and use the platform. But the other thing is that during the event, many people show appreciation for this platform. But if we, when we analyzed the data afterwards, we recognize that this appreciation didn't translate in actual registration of the platform. So I think that is important to put on the table some follow-up action. So basically a follow-up plan in order to push the stakeholder that show their interest during the event in a role to the platform in a way in which they can really test and understand why this tool is powerful. That's it, I would say.
Thank you. That's actually really good in terms of also taking it forward and going forward with the project. And perhaps we can actually think about also beyond the length of the project and think about how that could be actually scaled up on a larger scope than what we had within the 4 regions within the project. Could you maybe give it a thought and think about what are the key factors that would contribute to the scalability and what would be the best way to actually achieve this scalability?
Um, yeah, sure. I think that also in this case it's important to differentiate between the transition camp and the matchmaking, because even if they, if used together, they are really powerful. On the other hand, they have some specificity. Oh my God. They have some differences for which is important to give to treat them as separated. Um, in the case of the transition camp, as I briefly mentioned before, each of the TSL um, try to focus the event on a particular group of stakeholders. I think that this transition camp can be easily scaled, involving at the same time more type of stakeholder, more groups of stakeholder, in order to collect uh, simultaneously the opinion from different groups, the view of different groups, but also to stimulate new conversation, new, also to open new questions, new challenges. So this is for sure an important thing for the transition camp, broader the audience. To do that, of course, the planning is really, really important. Regarding the matchmaking platform, here the situation is a bit different because the tool itself is not open source. So this is the first thing. Um, so based on the results that we got in Transformer, I would say that it is really worth to acquire it, but um, it, it could work much better if it is focused on a very large event. It is quite difficult to use it at a local level, but also the other difficult thing was to use it for several events. So sometimes there was not the appropriate time to inform in advance about an event because there was already in the loop the information on the previous events. So my suggestion is that um, to use it either for one big event or to use it for multiple events, but distant in time. So in this way, I think it can really help the involvement of much more stakeholders.
Thank you. That's very insightful, and I hope that it can also help many other regions and other stakeholders going forward. I would have one last question for you. Um, Based on the experience with the matchmaking toolkit, what would you recommend for to others that are looking to implement a similar framework?
Yeah, I would say something similar to what I just anticipated. Um, I think that the matchmaking, my recommendation is mainly on the matchmaking platform because, in my opinion, it is really a powerful tool. But when it is used in a local event, is very hard to involve the stakeholder. Why? Because we said that at the beginning that the objective of the matchmaking platform is to put together stakeholder that may not have crossed their paths. If we use it at local level, there are high chance that these stakeholders already know each other, so they do not have really an interest in rolling in the platform and create connection because they already have this connection. So if we use this platform in a wider context where there is a big event where people comes from different geographical contexts, so they do not normally meet each other, then it can really represent a powerful tool, because at that point people are interested in register, in entering contact with stakeholders that they never met before and that they are not going to meet in person, if not through the platform or for a specific event. So I think used in this way can be really powerful. So I think the experience itself within Transformer was really useful to discover this type of tools. But on the other hand, it was also useful to understand in which way can be its maximum potential can be exploited. I think that's it from my side.
Thank you very much. That was really insightful, Paola, and I am very glad that we were able to present the matchmaking platform in a interactive way during this exploitation cafe. If any of the viewers are interested, please look at our website. You will find all the other cafes presented there as well, or you can follow us on social media for any updates and insights. Thank you very much for everyone's attention, and I'm looking forward to meeting everyone at the next cafe.
Thank you. Bye.